Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded, and I just kind of went through a bit of a DCS drought, I guess, and I wasn't really having much fun playing the game anymore. But I got on today and had a really good sortie, so I figured I'd upload it and go over what happened. So I'm getting locked by this bandit, not sure of his distance yet, and I just started a slight bank turn into him just to see if I can get the bandit to show on my radar. So the bandit's at 5.9 in altitude, roughly around 18,000 feet, and it's going 1290. I know that this bandit has a higher energy advantage and altitude advantage over me, so getting into a BVR fight would not be smart in this situation. So I decide to put the bandit on my 3.9, lose altitude, and dive into the notch. My goal here was to break the bandit's lock and then turn back in at a closer distance to see if I could catch him off guard. And as you'll see shortly, I accomplished that, but when I turn back in, the bandit picks me up again, so it forces me to go back into the notch, and then I catch him as he flies by.
Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор.
So in this second engagement, I'm being locked onto and fired at by a bandit at an unknown range, speed, and altitude. So I have to turn into the notch to defeat the bandit's radar track. Once the bandit's radar track is defeated, I turn back in to get its range, altitude, and speed, and then I turn back into the notch to start the next plan or phase of my attack. After getting into the notch, the bandit loses situational awareness because it is unsure or does not know of my location after the notch. So what you'll see is I turn back in and get an ER on the bandit, and the bandit has no idea what happens.
Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор.
So this engagement, there really wasn't anything exciting about it. I was tracking a bandit in EO for a certain length of time, and I waited until the bandit got comfortable to turn around, and I switched my radar back on. Once I switched my radar back on, I fired two R-73s at the bandit and got my third splash of the sortie. So in my fourth and final engagement, I'm being locked by a bandit at an unknown distance. This was when I was actually trying to return to base and got picked up by a bandit. I only had one R-73 left at this point, so the only engagement that would be possible for me in this scenario is a close-in dogfight. So I have to get some information first, per usual. I get the bandit's range, altitude, and speed, and then I start my notch to close the gap between the bandit and I. So as you can see, the bandit is going about 1,300 kilometers with an altitude of about 5.6. So as far as altitude goes, we're pretty even. As far as speed goes, he has a advantage in BVR. So I start my downward descent and put the bandit in my 3.9. Now the scary part about this is when instrument flying comes into play, because I could not see anything below the cloud layer. So I was effectively flying blind, which made this engagement very tricky. And I lost my orientation a couple times in the midst of this engagement. So I had to actually go cold for a minute to clear away or get away from the cloud layer. And once I did that, I was able to spot the bandit. But this was a very, very tricky flight, as you'll see. But I ended up getting the bandit, and that's the end of that sortie.
Переведи в набор. Переведи в набор.